that frown upside down. You have found your way to the Stuff Worth Trying podcast with your host, T-Boy and the Job.
Ooh, looking good, Italian Job.
Feeling good, Tommy boy. How are you, brother?
You know, we are recording this on October 28th, which is a Friday. Halloween is on a Monday. This whole weekend is, supposed to be the spooky, scary weekend. I am more terrified and will be happy when election week is over.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I am enjoying putting kid costumes together. As far as adult scariness is concerned, celebrated 20 years of marriage to my M this past week.
Claps.
Had a great time. Thank you. We went on the eve before our anniversary, saw Iron Maiden in Greensboro, North Carolina.
I
You
saw
wanna
some of
talk
your
about
videos on Facebook.
Fitness goals. Those guys have fitness goals. They are crushing it. 65-year-old Bruce Dickinson, running around the stage like a banshee. It was awesome. We sat down on Wednesday night. We were, we're a family, got a lot of family goals going on. Kids are busy. We snuck off, sat down, had a dinner where we first almost met, in the sense that little pub in our neighborhood. Had a great time, reset our marriage goals, reset our family mission, going back to a previous iteration of the Stuff We're Trying podcast with the M, reset our family rally cry, feeling great. And then the rest of the world just gets involved. I mean, you and I are in North and South Carolina, and all I hear is you and I talking about what does it mean to be a virtuous leader? F3 talking about what does it mean to be a virtuous leader? All these quote unquote leaders on a business card just ruin it for everybody else. We've got one politician that says, I want to sell your children into slavery. We have another that believes in a cabal where actors eat children's souls for the betterment of Optimus Prime, for all I know. And sadly, all these sad clowns are out there just buying into it. And yet here I am on a Friday afternoon with a man that I love, about to talk to two other guys that I love about just doing good stuff to be better people so that we can do more good stuff and unlock more better people. So, I mean, to quote Hello Kitty, how lucky are we, dude?
I mean, who's got it better than us?
Was that an answer or was that an answer? So I will boomerang it back to you and then we'll dive into it, because I read your issue of News of the Nation, which I'm always fired up because I always am inspired by guys who are just doing stuff because it matters to them to give it away. So how are you, my friend?
Well, I am in day 4 of the flu, so that's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. That's a CSAUP, right?
Yeah, I'm down some weight. I'm also very lethargic and I have not worked out this week, but I have a good reason for it. I have a hard time keeping my head up. But outside of that, I mean, all is well. The newsletter, you referenced it. I'm going to walk through real quick what it was covering this week. So October 28th edition, we're talking about F3 Accelerate, which is the F3 Foundation's. It's kind of our campaign for raising some funds so we can give it away. So that's the top article. And then Grow Ruck, it's the section on Grow Ruck is specifically talking about the Crucible, which is in Katy, Texas. That's going to be our December GTE. The article that we've talked about for a while, the news article that we were featured in Good Morning America 3, GMA 3. We've got a link to that. My new favorite piece in the newsletter is My Why, which is a story for, a guy just saying, hey, this is why I do F3 and this is how it's changed my life. And this one came from Toilet Genius out of F3 Jeffco. I just wanted to say Toilet Genius because I figured that was a phenomenal name. So we're going to have to talk to Toilet Genius at one point and figure out how he got that name. Regions in the news, Bruco in Eastern North Carolina, Brunswick County, probably one of my top 5 favorite articles to date. Just talking about, you can read the article and say, man, that feels like my region. That feels like my local AO. Expansion update, we've added 5 new regions. So we're now 280 regions, 5 continents. We also have the podcast rundown, our Q Source apprenticeship, and then the PAX picks. One of my favorite pictures that I've seen in the last few weeks is Churro from Birmingham East went and joined Pioneer in the PAX of Akaale, Uganda. So it's pretty cool to see, some of the shirts that men, the give, that I buy a shirt and we give a shirt, to see that these men are all smiles wearing F3 shirts in Uganda. So if you haven't had a chance to read it, take a look at the newsletter. They drop every 2 weeks. If you want to join that newsletter distribution list, we'd love to have you on it. There's a link down at the bottom. So that's what's kind of going on in the nation, news of the nation. What are we talking about today, Tommy Boy, and who are we talking to?
Yeah, so you kind of hit on it, which is what's fun. We live in a world of checks and balances, and F3 is not that world. The only thing we check on is the 6. The only thing we balance is, are we consistent? Are we accelerating consistently? And it's all peer-to-peer. There's no performance reviews. It's like, get out, get after it, get gone, come back tomorrow, reset. And so in the spirit of all of that, once again, Slack has delivered. The guys from Tennessee Springfield have shown up and want to talk about something they've done. What I'm excited most about with this conversation is it's easy to say, oh, that's another CSAUP. It's better and more beneficial to say, here's a couple of guys who had an idea, put it into motion, some dudes signed up, and here we are in the next iteration of what that idea was. And they're reaching countless guys across countless regions, just because it's about community and driving it forward and just sharpening iron in the truest sense. You talk about guys posting t-shirts because that they bought one, they gave one across the globe. That started from somewhere. So this is here. So here we are. We've got Rudolph. We've got Heidi. I'm going to go Brady Bunch on the way that you guys are on my screen. So Heidi, if you don't mind, name-a-rama, and how did you get your F3 name?
Hey, yeah. So Eric Cobb, 47, Heidi, out of Spring Hill, Tennessee. My first F3 beatdown tool time out of Franklin, Tennessee brought me. And easy story, they already had a Wilson and they already had an Al Borland. So I got stuck with Heidi.
Underrated.
Yeah,
completely underrated.
And in every true F3 fashion, they name the studs the girl names, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Done. Well done, Heidi. And then the most famous reindeer of all, Rudolph. Tell us how you got your name.
Of course. You stole my thunder, Tommy Boy. I was going to start off with another Hello Kitty quote, but here I am.
Oh, dang.
So Chris Milam, 35, Rudolph, out of F3 Spring Hill, Tennessee. My first workout was 2.5 years ago, the day after Heidi and I had lunch. And he said, hey, what are you doing on Saturday? We got a bunch of dudes working out in the park and I'd love you to come. So I work out. I'm like, what did I get myself into? Name-a-rama comes around and I talk about how I fell off a pogo stick on Christmas Eve as a child, leading to a Christmas morning with a big red nose. So I've got stuck with Rudolph.
Now, how did you get to that story? Did someone ask for your most embarrassing? I mean, because you normally don't start off like, hey, so tell me about yourself. I fell off of a pogo stick.
Oh, yeah.
So did they ask for
Christmas,
your most embarrassing Christmas, or how did that come about?
Yeah, most embarrassing story. I think I kicked off with a couple softball responses and those weren't good enough. So we had to ratchet it up a little bit and get to
Nice.
broken nose.
I mean, that's pretty solid.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And Cobain's, because I said Springfield. I was just watching a Simpsons marathon with my kids. So not Springfield, Spring Hill. So thank you. Gentlemen, welcome to Stuff We're Trying. Again, super proud because A, you spoke up. B, you want to talk about it. C, it's Stuff We're Trying. So let's get into it. Tennessee Tussle. And let's talk about in TikTok parlance, how it started and how it's going. So let's start with how it started, which is the idea. So if whoever wants to take the question, where did this whole thing begin?
Yeah, so it got kicked off really in 2019 unofficially, and it was some of the guys, some of the packs out of Nolensville, Tennessee, just kind of reached out to 2 or 3 regions, said, hey, here's a list of exercises, send your best. Let's see what we got. And we called it the fittest. It was just something we were going to try to do. And we all came together on a high school football field and ran through it. And, it was a lot of fun. We messed up. There were some mistakes. There were some problems, just some issues, things like that. Next year, COVID hit. Next year, 2021, we're like, let's start this thing back up. And as we talked about it, we kind of planned it out. We're like, okay, we know what didn't work. So let's, modify as necessary. Let's see how we can fix that, what we can do. And we went into it with the plan of, hey, that was a lot of fun with just 3 or 4 regions. What if it was more? What if it was a larger group? So we kind of wanted to plan it out and design it in a way that we could open it up to the whole state. Last year, we just kind of did it locally with, 3 or 4 of the regions right here in Middle Tennessee outside of Nashville, and kind of as a pilot program to work out the kinks, work out the bugs. And we really felt like we had something good. We had something solid. So this year, we've opened it up to the whole state. We've reached out Memphis, Chattanooga, Knoxville, Northeast region, everywhere. And it's shaping up to be something pretty good. I mean, we went all out last year. We had a logo design, we had shirts, we got a legit trophy. Nice. And every year the winners will have their names engraved on a little placard there on the trophy, and it's going to be fun.
So you mentioned it's a handful of exercises. So is it a competition of like a 60-second who can do the most burpees, or kind of give us an idea of what some of these exercises are, or some of these challenges that you're sending your best to compete against?
Yeah, so originally that was kind of it. It was like, here's a list of exercises. Everybody just run through them. We kind of got a scoring system. Whichever region has the most points at the end wins. And last year when we rebranded it, we said, let's make this more of a team effort. So we've got a 4-man team, and there's of course there's a gauntlet. You hit an exercise station, then you got a mode of transportation to the next one, and you rinse and repeat. And your team stays together. So, your team has to come in, and then whichever team has the best time winds up winning. And it's a variety of stuff. Last year was a lot more speed focused, who could get through the course the fastest. This year, Rudolph and some of the first Fs kind of took it around with it. They added in a little bit more of a strength component. So, it's not just the super fast, super fit guys can get there. Your slower, stronger guys can really, pull some power into this thing. So yeah, it's kind of where we are with it.
So Rudolph,
talk a little bit. Yeah. Oh wait, no, hey, flu guy. Why don't you step back a minute? Because I have questions.
my hands are up. I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go on mute.
Hey, NyQuil, let's tap the brakes.
All right, I'm going on mute.
No, it's
ask your
good.
question, Tommy boy.
Thank you, Rudolph. Talk to us about where it was and how it's going. Right. So, what's the next iteration? Because where we are now, what you guys shared with us is a nice build off of how it started. So where did you see opportunities to build in new steps and new phases to this current iteration?
Sure. So like Heidi said, last year, everything was on a high school football field with a track around it. So it was very compact, very condensed into one area. And it was a brutal workout, and it was very prescriptive. It was do this and we'll see at the finish line. And so there's definitely that this year, but we also wanted to build in a little bit more strategy. So we've got options. We've got things where teams have to send one man to do something while the rest of the team does something and waits. And we've got opportunities for one packs to go off, complete 50 burpees in the middle of the field while the rest of the packs does the work that they need to do. So there's a lot of strategy involved. And we also wanted to do that because it really brings in this essence of challenging each other, right? It's not just folks going through what we tell them to do. It's folks coming together and saying, hey, we've got to overcome this challenge, and we've got to think about doing it differently than the other teams might try to do it. So we've had a lot of fun planning it. I'm really interested to see what the different strategies are that the different teams come in. We've got about 15 teams signed up now. So there's going to be a lot of different folks running around that morning, and it should be a lot of fun.
Are there
So
any
you
requirements? No,
mentioned signed
Tommy
up
boy.
too.
No, Tommy
Oh,
boy.
dang
My
it.
turn. Flu Man
Ah.
Shoe as the mic. So I do have a question. Are there any requirements as far as each team has to have a certain, like, maybe you have to have a Clydesdale, or you can have as many fast runners, or you can have as many heavy lifters, or any makeup that you want, or is there a specific team makeup that is required for the events?
Sure. So, our region, probably like all regions, has a huge variety of folks that are coming out. We've got folks of all shapes, ages, and sizes, and that's wonderful. And so what that means for an event like this is we have to be aware that we might have a couple of folks that in their early 20s can just hammer out 50 burpees, no problemo, right? We might have someone like myself that's not such an easy thing to do. And so we have these different tiers, these different divisions where we put folks into different categories. Clydesdale is one of the divisions, like you mentioned, and that's a team of 4 that has a minimum weight of at least 800 pounds collectively. So 4 dudes, 800 pounds. We've got a respect division where the total age has to equal 200 years or more. And then we've got an open class, or a thoroughbred class, which is just anybody and everybody.
So is there I know we're building, right? You guys are building. This is all relatively brand new. Is there a registration process? Like, how do guys, because this is super compelling, especially for a region like, Greensboro, where we just celebrated 8 years. We've got guys all across the gamut, and some respond well to Iron Pack, some respond well to BRR, some respond well to a 13-mile run. This is something that it sounds like speaks to everybody. That said, is there a formal registration, or how do guys get engaged to what you're up to?
Yeah, so there is a formal registration, and really the regions that are helping organize this year's event are around the greater Nashville area. And so F3 Spring Hill on our website has a sign up sheet. Folks can view, folks can sign up. And what that does is it allows anybody within the state to hit that and sign up. As we see more people signing up, it's really interesting to me to see these different divisions start to fill up. It's a pretty even spread right now. So we've got a pretty even spread across these 3 different divisions, which was a surprise to me. I kind of thought open or thoroughbred would fill up first, but it's exciting to see these 3 divisions fill up pretty evenly.
So Heidi, question for you. We always try to ask the question of why is this worth trying? I think this is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. It's the first and the second F, and probably sprinkle in some third F. But in your opinion, why is the Tennessee Tussle worth trying? Why should the Carolinas try it? Why should regions around the world try this? Why is this something that's worth trying?
Well, I think, it's a lot of fun to get together with your other regions coming together. You definitely have a very strong second F component in there. You've got it's like a big convergence, really. And if you open it up to the whole state, you've got guys coming in the night before or the day before, and maybe they'll be at a hotel. Well, now you've got a second F Friday night event, and it just kind of grows on that, and it really goes beyond just the actual workout and the going through the gauntlet there, but then also it gives everybody an opportunity to come out and work together just to see what they can do. We keep telling the guys, don't think you have to be the fastest or the strongest or the best to be in this competition. There are, guys and teams that may have been dead last year that are just dying to get back out here at it because they had so much fun. And that's what it's about. Just see what you can do, see what you and your team can come do, and mark your time and try to come back next year and beat it.
One of the really great things that we've seen in the weeks leading up to the tussle is this sort of inter-region competitive mindset start to form, where we have regions to our south, to our north, that are like secretly practicing the tussle routine on Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, acting like chill, like they're not up to anything, right? But we know. And we've sent a couple of folks over incognito to make sure they're, check up on what they're doing. And it's really great to see that spirit of friendly competitiveness form between the regions as we lead up to the tussle.
I 100% agree. As we build up to various grow rucks, for example, everybody now knows that the PFT is a big part of it. So watching a group of men come together and practice, like you said, whether everybody knows it or not, just that idea of that's the idea. Always help yourself get better and help others get better. So these guys come out and they do their first tussle warm up, their first Army PFT warm up, whatever it may be. And then next week it's like, can we beat it? How do we beat it? What do we do better? What do we, how do we fix it? And whether they realize it or not, at the end of it all, they're sharper. And that's what we're all about. So when you guys sent the idea, it was like, oh, this is totally a way that iron can sharpen iron, because this is repeatable. And we could try ourselves in a week, we try ourselves in a quarter or a year and see where we stand. I like the quarterly idea. I love that you guys host this yearly, because there's this added screw turn of guys trying to get better each quarter. So well done. I enjoy it. We're going to drop the link to the tussle warm or the warm up. God, I just poo-pooed all over you guys. We're going to drop the link to the tussle hellfire and brimstone beatdown in the show notes. But is there anything else we should add to that, or is there something that guys should be aware of that complement what you guys are up to?
I'll just say that Rudolph kind of mentioned it a minute ago. The competitiveness between the regions is really interesting to see. We're going to talk smack, and we're lurking on each other's Slack channels to see what they're doing and trying to catch them, training. Seeing who's got the guy that can do the fastest burpees. But even then, last year the winning team, Rudolph was on the winning team. And the 4 packs that were on that team are now in 3 separate regions, and they're all coming. So nice. Who's taking the trophy home, right?
Well, and you said it best. Speaking of trophy, I hear word there is a legit trophy. So talk about that, if you don't mind, Rudolph.
Yeah. So last year was the first year we had the trophy. We've got a picture of it here on our website, and there's plenty of room on this thing at the base for each year's winners. And so we have winners from each of the 3 divisions, along with each of the packs' name and the finishing time. So the vision is, as this thing ages, it will be passed hopefully throughout the state, with each winner taking it home every year and bringing it back to the tussle the following year to defend their title.
Now, does the trophy have a name? Is it just the Tussle Trophy, or is it named after a guy? Is it like the Stanley Cup, or or is it just the trophy?
I think that's a great idea. We're currently taking nominations for naming this thing. No, it's currently just called the Tussle Trophy, with the Tennessee stars on it.
Awesome. So Tommy boy, you and I.
Sorry.
You and I were talking earlier this week about this is not just something that's it's cool, it's camaraderie, it's getting the competitive juices flowing, but underscoring the whole concept of have an idea and run with it. Stop waiting and just do it. And a lot of us work in environments where you can't just come up with an idea and implement it, because it has to go through 14 committees and 18 signatures. But I think the real underlying issue here is guys had an idea and decided to run with it. And it's getting bigger, and we're learning each year, and it gets stronger. So Tommy boy, what would you like to hit home with that? What would you like to take from that and for guys to learn about, these types of events and why we should do these types of events.
Yeah, it's so funny because I've said it 3 times now, but it takes me back to a conversation or a talking point rather that Dreamliners shared at a F3 Hampton Roads during Grow Ruck 32. So much of the world wants you to submit to their process. There's a process. We came before. We know best. Here's the process. It's always been done this way. I would argue, and we have seen those of us who have been unlocked by F3 know it's not a process. Like, get after it. If it meets the mission, if it meets the core principle, if it meets our core principles, and if it meets the credo, get after it. Stopping, as Doa has said, Dark Helmet has said. The way that Dreamliner said it, I literally watched the men of F3 of Grow Ruck 32 sit up in their seat and start taking notes is this. It's easier to keep going than it is to keep starting. This is a perfect example of keep going. Yeah, sure, there's this. Sure, there's Iron Pack. Sure, there's these CSAUPs. We're going to do this thing and call it the Tennessee Tussle. And all of a sudden, guys are bought in, because how fun and how dumb fun is this to be a bunch of kids that happen to be in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, and 70s and 80s that want to get after it because their friends are doing it too. And at the end of the day, it just makes us better. Nobody's getting made fun of. Nobody's getting left out. Everybody's being brought along and everybody's being made better. Like, period. That's the whole point of this whole thing we called life. Everything else it's just vapor. We're here, vapor, and then we're gone, vapor. And our job is just to make it worthwhile. So these little moments where guys from Tennessee are like, hey, I have an idea. Let's go do it. Go do it. It's easier to continue or to keep going than it is to keep starting. So fellas, I totally applaud you for keeping going and not stopping and restarting, because this is what we're all about. How lucky are we to be able to have these conversations with guys across the nation now, dude, across the globe, 5 continents, with guys who are just out there trying to make things different for the betterment of all men, because we're better than what we are. So well done, fellas. Italian job. Any final? Actually, I'd love to, but you're hopped up on like NyQuil or something, I'm sure. So Rudolph, I will start with you, and then Heidi, I will end with you. Rudolph, closing thoughts. Like, what do you have to offer the packs, or what encouragement do you have for guys who are on the fence to sign up for the Tussle?
Man, I'm just so grateful for everyone that's had their hands on this thing. It started back in 2019, like Heidi said, with some of the folks that were here before me, and looking at it now, we've had so many volunteers that have stepped up and contributed to make this happen, not because someone told them to or because they had to, but because they wanted to. It was fun, it was fulfilling, and it matters to a lot of people. So I'm grateful for the team that's helped put this together, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
Heard. Heidi, I would say same question. Like, what do you love about it, and what final thoughts do you have for anybody who's on the fence?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun, just coming together. And even if you're not participating in the actual, workout, you're not on a team, just being there around it, supporting it, volunteering, helping out. And, for anybody out there in any region, it'll go right back to what you just said, just try something. You don't have to come up with a statewide competition, right? Just have a competition within your region. Just start small, whatever, just give it a try.
Heard. I love it. Italian job. I'm gonna pose a question to you, because you're the guy I know that can answer it very, very well. Let's pretend that I'm a Nantan of a region that I'm about to start next week. Because Lord knows we've got plenty of guys who have heard this conversation and thought, yeah, we have a thing too. It just so happens that Spring Hill has stepped up and shared their idea, right? So Italian Job, speaking to the men who are leading or a part of a region that is 1 to 5 years old. Why is this a conversation worth having? And why is this stuff worth trying?
Well, I'd say it's twofold. One, we are a leadership development group. I mean, let's be honest, the fitness brings guys in, it's the magnet. The fellowship is the glue, the dynamite is the faith portion of it. But we are not just a workout group. We are a workout group full of leaders. And our job is develop new leaders. So when someone has an idea and they raise their hand and say, I'd like to try something, that's the opportunity to springboard their leadership opportunities. So one, it's to give a guy the opportunity. Two, it's to spice things up. I mean, we get in a rut. We do the same things that we're familiar with doing. You know, some guys are strictly boot camp guys. Some guys are only rut guys. Some guys like kettlebells and only kettlebells. Some guys, you know, whatever it is their thing is, they get into a rhythm and a rut and a routine. And when you bring in something interesting, you know, the competitive juice is something a little bit slightly off kilter, something that you're not used to doing, it spices things up. It invigorates male community leadership. So, I mean, it's giving guys the opportunity to lead, and it's spicing things up so that guys learn something new and they do something that they normally wouldn't do. So that's how I would answer that, TB. And that's Dayquil talking.
Wait, are we like sponsored by them now? Is that our new sponsor?
Hey, I'd welcome
So
any money if anybody wants to throw it at us.
Yeah, not for nothing, but baby's got to eat. So listen, I will say this because what you said reminds me of a great piece that has crossed my interwebs this week. It's from Kara Lawson, and I'm going to screw it up. So I will preface it by saying this is simply a paraphrase. What the guys in Tennessee are doing are great because it's putting a challenge that didn't exist in our path. We can choose to accept it or we can choose to step around it. Kara Lawson, female basketball player for the Duke ladies. And there's this speech, if you haven't seen it, Kara Lawson, Kara Lawson, look it up, share it with your kids. God forbid if you're a girl daddy and you don't share this with your girls. If you're a Carolina fan, shame on you, because I've shared plenty of Carolina videos from Dean Smith because they're stuff worth sharing. She in essence says this: stop waiting for the easy bus. We see people waiting at the bus stop all the time for the easy bus and it never shows up. Stop waiting for the easy bus. Get good at doing hard things well. And this is a perfect example of doing hard things well. The added benefits of the fact that you get to sharpen iron, you get to build deeper bonds with your buddies. You have war stories to tell when your wives say, why do you do that stupid thing that you do? You could say, because I'm just trying to do hard things well. So when the S hits the fan, here I am. I'm the dude. So fellas, from F3 Tennessee, thank you for stepping up and saying, we have an idea. We have a stuff that's worth trying. Italian Job, looking good as ever, even with the flu. Like, I think you even look better, perhaps. It's the added weight from the medication. Heidi, Rudolph, can't thank you enough for stepping up and being on the podcast. Podpaxers who are out there, be good or be good at it. Love you guys.
Thanks, Ben.